Welcome to our deep relaxation class.
Ariom, welcome everybody. My name is Bryan Nupp, and I'm here on behalf of the Eldersburg Branch Library to facilitate your deep relaxation class. I hope that you've already been able to find a comfortable seat, that you've been well since our last practice together. So, when you're ready, you can go ahead, and we only have a little time, so I want to just get right into it. We're going to start in a seated position, whether that means seated at the edge of a chair, on a pillow, or a blanket on the floor, or any place that's comfortable. And we're just going to tap right into about 3 minutes or so, maybe 5 minutes of breath awareness practice. This just gives us the opportunity to start to turn our attention inward, to have a little introspective moment for ourselves. If you have a gratitude practice or prayer practice that you want to incorporate into this quiet moment in our opening sequence, this is a great time to do that. So all you have to do is arrive here, have the intention to focus on your breath without trying to change anything yet, and then just show up. And if you find that your thoughts are kind of grappling for your attention, or something in your body is really grappling for your attention, just notice it, observe it, and let it go. You can even sort of use some visual imagery and imagine you are breathing into that physical or emotional or psychological thing that is sort of wrestling for your attention. So if you haven't already, just take a nice deep breath, check in with your physical body. I find it helps to close the eyes and just start to listen to your breath, and just bring awareness into this present moment. A lot of times in our mindfulness and yoga classes, we call this position the witness, because we're sort of just objectively becoming aware of everything in our internal and external environment. You sort of start by just noticing things, maybe sounds or smells, using your senses to sort of become aware of where you are physically, and then using that sort of internal objectivity to become emotionally aware of where you're at in your human experience, having just a little time to check in. Without judgment or critical analysis, just collect the information and let it go. The longer that we can practice cultivating this awareness, the deeper we can go into that state of awareness, which really leads us to this state of profound peace and connectedness to all things within and around us. The next time you breathe in, just express that inhalation by reaching your hands up and overhead, taking a nice tall seated stretch. And exhale, just press your hands out to the side. Slowly melt your fingertips down towards the floor. Do that twice more. Inhaling, expressing that in breath. With your hands and arms open wide. Exhaling, kind of just sort of clearing and claiming that space around you, your personal space for this practice. Melting fingertips towards the floor. Just one more time. Very good. We're going to have a relatively gentle practice tonight. So we're going to move on to our backs. We're going to start to warm up our spines and start to nurture our hips and hamstrings with our warm up sequence. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and simply move on to your back. You can make sure that your mat is clear of any clutter and that you've got plenty of space beside you. All right, just take a moment with your feet on the floor and your knees wide. Just relax your hands down by your side, palms turned up, and just gently start to move your knees a few inches side to side, massaging that lower back on the mat. Now, somewhere within reach, you might like to have a blanket or a block or bolster or pillow, something that you might be able to use to kind of support one of your outstretched legs for this next part of our sequence. And I'll show you just what I mean here in a moment. So, we're going to start warming up the hip sockets. We're going to start to hug just the left knee in towards the chest. And I'm going to encourage you, if you can, to stretch that right leg long. If that triggers anything in your back or is just a little bit hard to kind of let that leg relax, you can take something like a block or a blanket or a cushion and place it right underneath the bend in the knee. And that will help alleviate any pressure or tension on your lower back muscles. So returning back, hugging that left knee gently in towards the belly. Take a couple deep breaths, just simply holding here. You can start to point and flex the toes, kind of warming up that ankle. We'll start with the ankle and feet, just making some circles. Pointing and flexing the foot. And just gently kind of bounce that knee and shake out that ankle very gently. Okay. So we're going to work into a little bit of nerve gliding, which is sort of just a modified version of our regular hamstring stretch. So there's going to be a lot of different components for this next exercise. There's going to be kind of helping to produce synovial fluid in our knees, which is basically like joint lubricant for our knees. This activity of straightening and then pointing and then flexing the foot, bending the leg. This is also going to start to work on our hamstring mobility and flexibility. And then also, we're really kind of like activating and clearing the nerve pathways from our spine all the way into our toes while we do this. And so we're going to link this up with breath for a maximum efficiency. We're going to inhale here in this bent position, knee bent, foot very gently flexed. And then as we exhale, we're going to gently point the toe and not straighten all the way, maybe about 80%. And then inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. So we're going to do that about 5 more times. Just follow the pace of your own breath. Really working that leg on the left side. Good. And then once you've completed that fifth one or something close to it, you can just gently hug the knee back in and starting with a counterclockwise circle. So the leg's going to gently fall to the outside. You can do this with or without the help of the hands here. We're just going to start to gently make some leg slash hip circles. Imagining you're using a spatula and you're scraping the mixing bowl of all the cake batter or all the sauce that you made. And we're going to explore a similar range of motion or whatever your fullest range of motion is in that left hip socket. If at any point that right leg being straightened out is uncomfortable, for this part, you could go ahead and just lift that right foot to the floor, keeping a nice deep bend in the right leg. Once you've made about a dozen of those hip circles on this side, you're going to pause and then switch the direction of those hip circles. All right, good job. When you're ready, you can go ahead and slowly place that left foot back down. Just for a moment, if you can, straighten both legs next to each other and just observe that visceral difference between the right and left side. My left leg feels like an inch and a half longer than the right leg right now. So we're going to kind of balance that out and do some of that fine tuning work on our right side now. So we'll start just by gently hugging that right knee in towards the chest. You can stretch that left leg long and use a block, blanket, or pillow to support it right underneath that bend in the knee. Good. And just hold for a few breaths here, gently letting the weight of the arms bring that right knee in towards the belly. And you can start with some ankle circles in both directions and just play with pointing and flexing the foot and toes. Good. And then when you're ready, we're going to move into some of that nerve gliding on this side. Remember, inhale, keep that bend position in the leg, gentle flex of the foot, and exhale, straighten but not all the way as you point the toes. Inhaling, bending, flexing the foot, exhaling, straightening, and pointing the toes. Last time, straighten and point, and then bend and flex. Very good, with or without the help of the hands. We'll start with our circles this time. Just occasionally slowing down and make sure you're getting really your full range of motion. And when you're ready, you can just simply pause and reverse the direction of those hip circles. Gently relax that leg back to center. Place the foot on the floor. Go ahead and step left foot next to right. And then just gently drop the knees side to side, arms out, extended to the side, near shoulder height. We're going to work a little bit of spinal mobility and some oblique strengthening movements now by just bringing our knees right above the hips. You can keep the legs together. One thing you could actually do to help with this is bringing that block or something in between the legs and just gently squeezing it to help you maintain your form there. You're just going to let the knees drop down about 4 to 6 inches to the right and then same to the left. And we'll just gradually increase that distance from center towards floor, or gradually decrease that distance from center towards floor rather, as you let those legs fall down a little bit further each time. Try and do that one more time on each side. Bring the knees back to center, remove that block if you had it there, and just hug both knees in towards the chest as much as you comfortably can. Go ahead and gently turn your head and neck side to side. Enjoy one more slow, full breath in and out here. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way over onto our hands and knees into our tabletop position. Take your time to arrive there. When you're ready, you can come onto your hands and knees. Hands stacked right under shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to move through our cat-cow sequence. So kind of pulling the shoulder blades together, melt the belly towards the floor, tilt your tailbone away as best you can. Lift and lengthen through the neck. And then exhale, tuck the chin in, Scoop the pelvis under, rounding through the spine. Press the floor away through the hands. With your next in-breath, simply reverse and repeat the movement. Go ahead and do that 3 more times. Very good. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and come up to a standing position. Inhale, stand, come all the way up. Very good. All right. So we're just going to do a few rounds of sun breathing and some gentle warm-ups, and then we'll try a balancing pose to finish our standing sequence. So we're going to go ahead and start just with our hands down by our side, standing tall, lifted through the head and neck, chin parallel to the floor. You can pick up your shoulders and gently draw them back and down. And with your next in-breath, gently reach the hands up and overhead. Exhale, bring the hands back down. Gently hinge from the hips. Make your best effort to let the fingertips come towards the floor. Inhale up halfway, hands to knees, hips, or shins. And exhale, release. Inhale, come all the way back to standing. Hands rise last. And exhale, hands rest in Anjali Mudra. That's that gratitude or prayer position in front of the chest. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhaling, flowing with your own breath pace. And reaching up on the inhale. Exhale, hinge from the hips, bow or swan dive forward on the exhale. Again, rise halfway into prepare pose on the inhale. Exhale, little bend in the knees, chin tucks in, melt the hands down. Slowly rise again to stand with the inhale, hands come up last. And exhale, hands return to chest. Good, twice more on your own. Begin. Very good. Excuse me. Go ahead and relax. Grab a drink if you need to. All right. Next, we have a Tai Chi inspired movement. All right. I like to call this one gathering water, or sometimes it's called sunrise, sunset. We're going to stand with our feet just a little bit wider, simply about shoulder distance apart, heels very slightly angled in, toes out, making sure that we're really rooted down through the feet, pulling those arches of the feet up, lifting through the abdomen and chest, and then just keeping all of the joints very relaxed. So micro bend in the knees, keeping the shoulders relaxed, elbows, wrists, fingers all relaxed. And we're just going to simply begin to lift the hands up and overhead. And this is a lateral movement down to the side with our out breath. So we're going to exhale, kind of turning with the torso down to the right. You can imagine you're setting down a bucket of water or reaching down to scoop something out of the stream. And then inhale, bring that thing all the way back up like you're going to place it on a high shelf. And then again, exhale. So you're keeping that space between the hands, little bend in the legs, just finding a very slow flowing, graceful movement that's guided by your breath. Exhaling, inhaling. This is about our ninth repetition, so you can go ahead and move through one more cycle, and then we'll pause and switch. Switching the direction with your next exhalation, exhale down to the left. One last time. And exhale, just gently press the hands back down towards the earth. Inhale, float the hands up, palms facing you. Breath in. Exhale, guide the palms, pressing them back down towards the earth. And again, inhale. And last time for this sequence, exhale, hands relax down. Very good. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll just make a few gentle hip circles. Just make about 4 long, slow hip circles in each direction. And when you're ready, you can pause and reverse the direction of those long, slow hip circles. And after that last one, just return to standing. Now, I'll give you guys a couple of options for a balancing pose today. One, we can move into our iconic Vrikshasana or the tree pose, which is a single leg balancing pose where you actually can, there's a few different variations. So I'll move through those before I give you a second option or a second posture you could balance in. So the first option or modification would be this kickstand modification. I've chosen my left leg to balance on. I'm pressing that left hip in. I'm not letting it collapse to the side. I'm staying engaged in my core. And I simply have my right toes kickstanded with this right hip opened out. All right. The second option would be to bring this right foot just below the left knee. All right, your hands can go wherever they need to go to help you balance here. All right, the third option would be to bring the foot above the knee up to the inner thigh. It's going to increase the balance challenge a little bit, whether you need that or not. Only you can tell. It might not be appropriate for where you're at right now with your body. So choose an option that works for you. Find a place for your eyes to rest on in yoga that's called your drishti or point of concentration, a focal point, usually something on the wall or floor that's not moving. Once all those elements come into play, you can just enjoy about 60 to 90 seconds in your tree pose. You can play with hand variations. If you start out with one modification and want to move to the next, you can simply try that at your own pace. Otherwise, a simple balancing pose we can move into is this sort of like dancing Krishna pose. It's going to involve balancing on one leg, crossing the opposite foot in front, either kickstanding on the toes or simply pointing the toes to face away. And then with one arm, you're going to cradle the belly. And then the opposite arm, you're going to take a lateral stretch and reach over to the side. Relax the shoulders, soften your eye gaze, and gently tuck your chin in towards the chest. That will be a secondary balance pose. Feel free to explore both, but we're only going to stay here for about one more minute, maybe 50 seconds. So choose one and go ahead and stick with it as long as you comfortably can. If you do kind of lose your balance, it's no problem. It's not a competition. Just reset and enjoy a few more breaths. When you're ready, you can simply shift your weight back to both feet, gently sway side to side, root back down through the feet, especially that opposite foot that you're now going to shift your balance into. Your choice tree pose or that dancing Krishna pose, either one at your own pace. I'll demonstrate them both briefly here. When you're ready, very gently return to standing. Just pause a moment in this tall standing position with the feet close together, shoulders relaxed back and down, palms facing forward, neck extended, and turn spine extended tall. Feel your balance here, just simply standing. You might even close your eyes and just enjoy a couple of deep breaths. Grounding down through both feet, feeling the weight evenly shared between both sides, right and left. Evenly distributed forward to back between the feet. So we'll come back down to a seated position now to close our physical practice with a seated twist. So when you're ready, you can come down to sit. I like to bring something under my head just to kind of help take a little pressure out of my back. Not something too tall, just something to kind of support underneath my sitting bones there. So a couple of different options for this seated twist. One could be a straight-legged twist where you just very simply rotate side to side. You could even make this a dynamic movement and just very slowly rotate side to side. You could slow it down so much as to just take a breath and exhale, and then with your next inhalation, return to the other side. That could be an option. A second option would be a cross-legged twist. The one I'm going to demonstrate here is a little bit different than both of those. In this case, I'm going to start by, let me see which one I want to twist first. I want to twist to the left first, so I'm going to hug my left knee in towards the chest. What I'm going to do is actually step this left foot across my outstretched right leg. I'm going to do my best to keep this right foot on the floor. I don't want to round and collapse in the shoulders. I want to sit up tall here. So what I'll do to complete my twist is use this right arm, extend it long from the shoulder, wrap around that left leg, all right? And then just very slowly from the navel up, start to twist to the left with the head and neck as well, placing the left hand around behind you. Try and keep your shoulders relaxed and that left foot on the floor if you're here. If you have a bind practice, which simply means you're going to reach around behind, you might be able to reach that right pocket with your left hand wrapped around your back. Otherwise, the left hand is just resting comfortably on the floor. And you slowly bring your head and neck back to center. Release the hands. You can release the leg. Just place that left foot on the floor back in line on the inside edge of that right leg. And just take a very brief counter stretch over to the right. And then we'll go ahead and complete that sequence on the other side, balancing things out, hugging the right leg in towards the chest, crossing this right foot to the outside edge of left leg, extending through that left arm and hugging the right knee in towards the chest, and then very slowly rotate through the navel, rib cage, chest, head, and neck, and place right hand on the floor behind you. When you're ready, head and neck return to center. Gently release the hands and arms. Uncross the right foot and just take a little counter stretch to the opposite side. When you're ready, we're going to return onto our back. We'll just take about 3 minutes or so for a shavasana. We'll just close our class in about 3 or 4 minutes. So you can find a comfortable place to rest with your arms and legs stretched out to the side. If you prefer to close your practice seated, that's fine. And if you prefer to continue on with your practice beyond my instruction, please do so. Take your time to find a comfortable place to rest in silence. We'll move right back into that breath awareness practice that we began our class with today. This time, see if you can set a goal to become aware of your awareness. And once you become aware of your awareness, you can rest there. It's a very beautiful place to be, just in a state of undiluted awareness. Just a non-judgmental, objective space. Let your body and mind relax completely. Allow your breath just flow slowly and rhythmically, peacefully from your nostrils. You're welcome to stay here as long as it serves you, closing at your own rate in your own way. For our schedule here, we're going to close the practice now. But again, I extend the invitation for you to take your time and do so in a way that best serves you and your needs today. If you would like to conclude your practice, you can join me in a comfortable seat with your hands resting, touching together in the center of your chest. Staying anchored in that place of pure awareness and keeping that peacefulness that accompanies that state with you as we transition. Letting your head bow towards your heart. Just taking a moment to pause in gratitude at the very many blessings, including this ability to practice here today. Just count off a few of those blessings for which you're grateful for now. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, and peace go with you. Thank you so much for practicing. We'll close our practice now. And I do hope to see you again soon.